I used to live in a small, quiet town nestled deep in the woods. Our house was old, with creaky floorboards and a draft that never seemed to go away. My parents often traveled for work, leaving me alone in that eerie house. One night, as the wind howled outside, I was awakened by an odd sound. It was a faint tapping, rhythmic and persistent, like someone gently knocking on my bedroom window. I dismissed it as a tree branch, swaying in the wind, and tried to go back to sleep. The next night, the tapping returned. This time, it was louder, more insistent. I sat up in bed and peered out the window into the darkness. There, standing in the shadows, was a tall figure. I couldn't make out any features. It was just a silhouette against the moonlit night. Terrified, I hid under my blankets, hoping it was just a figment of my imagination. But the tapping continued, growing louder and more forceful. I mustered the courage to approach the window and pull back the curtain. To my horror, the figure was now pressed against the glass, a faceless entity staring back at me. Its long, bony fingers continued to tap. Tap, tap. I stumbled backward, heart pounding, and called the police. As I waited for them to arrive, the tapping ceased. The figure disappeared into the night. When the police searched the area, they found no trace of anyone. They assured me it was probably a prank or my imagination playing tricks on me. Despite their reassurances, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The tapping persisted, becoming a nightly occurrence. I started seeing the figure outside my window more frequently, each time getting closer to the glass. One night, unable to endure the torment any longer, I decided to confront the mysterious visitor. I opened the window and demanded to know what it wanted. The figure remained silent, but a cold, chilling wind swept into my room. In that moment, the wind carried with it a whispered voice, chilling me to the bone. "Let me in," it pleaded. Panic set in, and I slammed the window shut. The tapping grew more frenzied, echoing through the house. Terrified and desperate for answers, I researched the history of the old house. It turned out that decades ago, a family had lived there, and their child had mysteriously disappeared. Rumors circulated that the child's spirit still wandered, searching for a way back inside. I decided to leave that house, unable to endure the nightly visitations any longer. As I drove away, I glimpsed the figure one last time in the rearview mirror, standing in the window I had just left. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that something malevolent lurked in that house, something that desperately wanted to be let in. Back in 2006, I worked the night shift at a 24-hour convenience store located in a quiet suburb. The store was usually serene during the late hours, with only a few customers here and there. One night, however, an encounter left me questioning my sense of safety. It was around 2:00 a.m., and I was behind the counter stocking shelves when I noticed a woman entering the store. She seemed ordinary at first glance, middle-aged, average height, and thin. She exchanged a casual greeting with me and began browsing the aisle. As I continued with my tasks, I occasionally glimpsed the woman. Something about her behavior struck me as odd when I noticed her holding a small camera, discreetly filming or taking pictures. I couldn't fathom why she would be documenting her visit to a convenience store in the dead of night. Minutes later, the woman left without making a purchase, bidding me good night as she exited. I dismissed the peculiar encounter, assuming it was just a bizarre one-time incident. However, as I left the store at the end of my shift, I sensed a presence trailing behind me. I turned around and was stunned to see the same woman, maintaining a considerable distance. Unease settled in as I quickened my pace. Upon reaching my apartment building, I realized the woman was still tailing me. I hurriedly entered, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. To my shock, when I looked out my apartment window, I saw her standing on the sidewalk, recording my unit. Disturbed and perplexed, I decided to report the incident to the police. They assured me they would look into it, but like the previous story, the woman vanished, and I never received any updates. Days later, however, the unnerving saga continued. In the early afternoon, I awoke to the sound of someone attempting to open my apartment door. Peering through the peephole, I caught a glimpse of the same woman hastily retreating.